Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Motivate with Coach Camp. I, of course, am your host, Coach Camp, and we are down here in these awesome studios of SRP with Mr. Derek Michaud. All right, folks, every once in a while, a special guest comes in. Look, it's not lost on me. Every single person's time on earth is important. So when they share a little piece of them, that means a lot to me. That's better than money, in my opinion. Today, I have a special guest, super busy lady. She's got a great story. She's having a massive impact on our community right here in the Mid-South. And she has a heart for folks. She has a heart for community. She really wants to make a difference. And the fact that she's come down here to the studios, super honored, super honored. Her name is Dr. Tracy Hall. She is the president of Southwest Tennessee Community College. She's been down here for a little over 10 years now. Just got here in 2015. I know a little bit about that because guess what? I work there. So you're going to hear all about that, where she's come from, what led her into education, and where she sees the future going for Southwest, and how community colleges play such a big role in everything that we do in life now, because jobs everywhere, they need these trade jobs. It's big time, and we're having a great impact. But before we jump into our conversation, stick around for just a second as we get a word from my sponsors. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to have a quick second to let you guys know how much it means to me that you are my sponsor. SRP Studios, The Real Hernando, The Rhythm Section, Hardwick Heating, Cooling, and Air Quality, Estes Grading, Hodge Homes, Adair Honey Farm, Miss Hippie Eats, Phones R Us, Ross Sod Farms and Landscaping, Ivy Rain, Women's Clinic, Tonic POS by Tyler Young, and Coffee Central. Thank you guys so much for being a sponsor. If you'd like to be a sponsor, go to my website now, motivatecoachcamp.com, and click on the button. Thank you. Welcome back, guys. Here we are. Dr. Tracy Hall, how are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. So, Hernando, Mississippi, a little bit of a drive.
Yeah, a little bit.
Was the interstate okay?
It was good. Peaceful. I loved it.
Well, that's not always the case.
That's not always the case. So I appreciated that.
Yes, indeed.
No traffic.
And no rain today. I thought it was going to rain.
It's a little gloomy out, but no raindrops. So that's good.
That is fantastic. And you know what? I drove my special vehicle up here. The convertible has a little bit of a leak sometimes, so I was like, please don't rain, because I want to drive this thing.
That's
today.
right.
So
that's
glad
right.
it's not raining.
It's a hot car, so you definitely want to drive it.
I do want to ride that thing on the weekends anyways. So there's so many things I want to get into, and we're going to talk a lot about community college and your heart for community. Yes. But one of the things that I know matters a lot to my listeners and viewers everywhere is, where did my guests come from? What motivated them to do the things they've done? So if you don't mind, share a little bit about where you grew up and what family life was like.
Yes, so I am from St. Louis, Missouri, originally, and a little small suburb called Cool Valley.
Oh.
So Cool Valley, Missouri, is in the Ferguson-Florissant School District. Most people have heard of Ferguson.
Yes.
So I went to a school that's in the Ferguson-Florissant School District, Cool Valley, Missouri. And I am my mom had 2 children, and I am the oldest of the 2. There's a 10-year gap.
Oh, wow.
Between the 2 of us. And so we kind of had the best of both worlds. I was the only child, I felt like.
Yeah.
And so she had mom by herself in a lot of ways.
So you had a little sister.
Home, I have a little sister.
Okay.
And so, St. Louis, Missouri, and my mom had a big family on her side of the family. She's the second oldest of 8 children. So
8 is enough.
8 is enough.
There was a TV show and everything about that. It was like, it's the truth. We done reached too many.
Yeah, it's enough. So 8 children, and so that's all those grandchildren. And then on my father's side of the family, a big family. He was like the youngest of maybe 10. And so it's a lot of children on both sides of the family. So just a really nice cousins and family, and good food on Sunday after church.
Yes.
And I grew up in this neighborhood on the south side of St. Louis, in which my mother and her siblings went to the same elementary school. So imagine when you're in elementary school, it was Toussaint Louverture Elementary School, and Mr. Price was our principal, but he was also the principal when my mother was there.
Oh, wow. Been around.
Yeah, he'd been around. And so that's good, and it's not so good, because
he knows all the stories.
He knows all of the stories. And so, but we were really just like a really great community of people. Everybody knows everyone. And my grandmother, Medea, was the matriarch. And so if I did anything wrong down the street, by the time I got home, Adele's on the front porch like,
they knew it.
She knew. I'm like, what is going on here? So it was
They didn't
great
need
time.
text message back in the day.
No, that was their text message, just getting on the porch and saying, get your grandchild because she's acting up. So yeah, just a great family and just a closeness. We eventually moved out we were in the city of St. Louis, and my mom worked at the post office, and she did really well financially. I think I always said we were wealthy, and she said, no, you are. I'm poor. So I had what I needed.
Right.
I don't know all the struggles she had to go through, but at least I had what I needed.
Sometimes I feel that way about my daughter.
Right. I don't know what you're going through. I'm doing really well. She's like, well, good for you.
That's right.
So we wanted to move out to another area, and so that's what we did. And so it was great in terms of opportunities and kind of exploring other parts of St. Louis, but then you kind of miss your family, that whole village that was there from the beginning. But it was a great.
How much structure do you think that started to put into your life? Because you're getting a lot of influences, it sounds like, with that many family members.
Yeah.
You get a lot of different leadership styles and different philosophies. So how did that build Tracy Hall?
Well, I think, when it's interesting you talk about that, because it builds you because you see the power of community. You see the power of influence of people that are positive role models in your life. It's about accountability that you learn as a young person that takes you into your adulthood and leadership. Because as I mentioned about, if I do something down the street and someone else, calls and tells my grandmother before I get there, you learn that, wait a minute, maybe I just need to be good all the time, because then I don't have to worry about somebody telling on me, because I'm always, you never know who's watching you. And I think that you can parlay that into your leadership. And when we talk about character, it's not about, it's about what you do when no one is watching.
Yes, indeed.
And that's your character. And so that really has been a part of who I am as a leader, that you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
And so I think that all of that, being grounded in that family, and that accountability and that love and that respect, because sometimes kids today, they don't understand that there is a difference between me as an adult and you as a child. There's a level of respect that you need to have.
Yes.
So all of that influenced my early life and later in life as well.
No doubt about it. When you talk about accountability, I think there's two levels of that. Sometimes some people need more encouragement than others to be accountable.
That's right.
And then you have those that start to understand the significance of it at an early age. And that maturity can develop differently for everybody,
right?
So growing up, I grew up in the country. I was in the country, and so we could disappear. We were that proverbial 80s kids where you could disappear as long as you home before the street lights came on. Mom ain't gonna be too mad at you as long as you ain't filthy dirty. So we would come in, and as long as we were respectful, we did the things we were asked. We kind of became very independent.
Yes.
And to me, looking back on it, you don't realize that that's also a form of leadership, is being able to have problem solving skills and be able to take care of yourself to a point. And at the age of 9, 10, 11, right, wrong, or indifferent, but in those days it was a little different. You could disappear into the woods and go down to the creek and go fish and do whatever you want to do, and didn't have to have a parent stand over you.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily always recommend that in today's society, because there's different things that are scary, but you had a different type of feel where you had a lot of influences that were helping mold you. The key, it sounds like, was that you were paying attention.
Listening. Faith was a big part of our family as well.
I was going to ask about that.
Oh, absolutely. We went to Mount Zion Baptist Church. Reverend Eddie Baker was the preacher. And I remember going as a family on Sundays, and then not enjoying after church, because that's when the big meal.
Oh, yes.
All of us are sitting around the table and just talking and laughing. It's just that part of just build you and your values, and it really does shape you as you move on in your life. You don't forget those lessons.
I think that's a great point of understanding that folks pour into you, and it makes you have self-worth, self-value.
That's right.
And it makes you believe what's possible.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of folks, unfortunately, don't have that, which is going to play into our conversation about community college and how we play such a big role in some of these young people's lives that they didn't have that.
They don't have that. And that's where that community is really important in our name.
Yes, indeed. You know, your background, and that's why I always think it's so important to understand where a person comes from. You had great influences. Me, I actually had great influences, and I had a level of independence that if you didn't do right, retribution was coming hard and fast. And I was a boy, but so to be fair, my dad treated me just like all them little country boys back in the day. The belt was coming, so you knew that was on the way. So it's just like, I ain't doing that. I know it's coming if I do this thing, which was like usually swimming across a lake, something crazy. Yes. Something crazy. It was always deserved, by the way.
Yes.
And
I've had a few.
So you understand.
I understand.
You understand. So you develop this stuff, and then as you get older, you start to think about how is that going to play into the big world. Now in high school, what was the size of your high school?
Oh my goodness. I know my class. I'll just say that I think I graduated in a class of like 500 students.
Oh, it's a big school.
It was a big school. McClure, the McClure, for anybody out there listening, because there's a McClure and there's a McClure North and a McClure South Berkeley now, but we are the original McClure.
With a capital T.
Yes, absolutely. And so we had about 500 in the class. I mean, at graduation, I was sat next to people I'd never seen before.
Wow.
That's how big it was.
That is wild.
Yes, it is.
Now, I was probably mid-group, so I was like 200 and something was our graduating class. Yeah. And then I have friends who graduated from private schools that had like 12.
Oh my goodness. Can imagine.
So, but they could actually make it sound good. Be like, I graduated 12th in my class.
Oh, right.
Like, oh wow, that's good.
That's huge.
It's also last, but it was 12. It was 12.
It was 12.
So just all about perspective.
That's right.
Then this is a large school. So then what I'm about to bring up next is kind of big then. So you play basketball for them.
I did. In my head, I was really, really good. In my head, I was just the magic Tina Johnson.
Yeah, I love it.
Magic Tina Johnson. That's my favorite player, Magic Johnson, by the way. So it's
a good one to pick.
It's a good one to pick. We have the same birthday as Matt.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there. But yeah, so I thought I was really good. I think our record was like 1 and. Just fill in the blank. How
many losses came after that?
Just one and.
We got one.
We got one. And it was usually a school called Jennings High School. We look forward to Jennings because we were going to beat Jennings. Now, everybody else, no.
Yeah.
But we were going to beat Jennings. But I was really good in that one game.
Yes, indeed. You walked away.
Yeah, I did a good job.
Look at my stats.
That's right.
Triple doubles everywhere.
Yeah, right.
Triple doubles. So then I want to ask you about this because when I saw that you play basketball in that, I'm a coach. Like I'm a real coach. Coach sports all the time.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. And I think that, it's not for everybody. So I don't want to be too general on this, but I think there's a lot of value for kids that play sports because you learn how to be a part of a team. You learn how to lose.
That's right.
You learn how to win. You learn how to be humble when you have success.
Absolutely.
So how do you think playing sports helped you down the road? And maybe at the time you didn't realize it was doing it.
Yeah, you don't really realize it. But I think, now teamwork is definitely important. A lot of times we talk a lot about I, me. And this generation sometimes, and not just this generation, all generations have people that are very self-centered. Playing on teams in sports, it forces you to not focus on yourself. You can't win a game alone. And that one game that we would win doing basketball, we played together. And even the games that we lost, we had to learn to play together and to get along in different personalities. Also, again, going back to that respect and authority, this is your coach. And what is your coach there to do is to coach you. And as an individual, you have to be coachable. Because you can have all the skills that you can. I mean, you can be great, but if you're not coachable, you're not willing to listen to other people, that's a problem. I'd rather have someone that needs a little bit more coaching and help than someone, and because they'll listen, than someone that's this superstar and they won't listen to anything. To me, that's a problem personality in a sport, but it's also in a team, an executive team that I build. I want people that are willing to listen and to take constructive criticism and not just think that they have it all together all the time.
That is beautifully said. And I want to just piggyback on that with using basketball as the analogy. By the way, I know that you did get to come to one of my little demonstrations whenever you had some folks in town, but teaching my class, I teach my students from a coach's perspective. The idea is that I'm not trying to build a person to be the best. I'm trying to build this team to be the best together.
Right.
And a lot of being a great teammate is understanding that it doesn't always have to be about you. Your sacrifice builds the team dynamic.
Yes.
If an individual has to always be in the shining light, then it's going to actually be a negative effect on the rest of the team.
That's
so
right.
what you're saying, that person could be great.
Yeah.
But it's going to actually be a poison to everyone around them.
That's right.
Take a person that has natural greatness.
Yes.
And they infuse that in others. Oh, magic happens.
That's right.
Magic happens. And so that's where, like, if you had, I just use basketball as the example, you've got the person that could score 40, 50 points every game, and they're a ball hog, and they never pass it.
Exactly.
The other 4 players start to check out. They start to not want to be a part of it. They don't care anymore.
That's right.
Take that person that's got the super talent, show them how to pass the ball off, how to get the others involved, how to encourage the other people. Now they see, here's the star. Giving them encouragement gives confidence. When you have confidence, your team grows, your team gets better. I come into my class every day and I let them know. I mean, I say every day.
Yeah.
Dr. Hall, I'm only wired one way.
Okay.
That's how I am.
That's how you are.
Take it or leave it. It's how I am. I come in every day and I let them know today will be as great or as bad as you allow it to be. You've got to come in here and bring your best because I promise you I'm going to give you my best every day. And so when they come in, that's the coach approach. That's what I call it, the coach approach.
Okay.
So come on in here, be coachable. Let's grow together as a family and watch what happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm married to a coach.
You did mention this before.
I'm married to a coach.
So what does he coach?
Basketball. He's not coaching right now, but he's coached. He played basketball in college as well. That's where we met, in college, and he was a basketball player. And then he went on to become a coach after the military.
Oh, okay.
And so, so that in November, it will be 39 years of being attached to someone.
Happy anniversary early.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And so even over the years, I have a doctorate in educational leadership, and that has been great. I've learned also a lot from my husband and seeing how he picks teams and looking at putting the best players together and the great mix of personalities and talents. And you don't want too many guards on a basketball team. You don't want too many forwards and, centers and all of that. You have to have a great mix of people, but also making sure that they work well together and that they're coachable. I think those lessons that I have learned throughout the years, listening to him and seeing him work with his other coaches, it's like these are some really good life lessons. It's not just on the team, on the basketball court. It's in life. And I've liked how he's helped to develop young men when he's coached men and he's coached girls. And so I like that because it's not just about the trophy that you might get at the end or the medal or whatever you're going to get. It's these lessons that you learn as you are on the court, and also with the parents and the parents.
That's a whole nother ball game there.
Listen, we can have another show about
Yes,
parents.
we could. Yes, we
I
could.
won't go there, but it's just been a great lesson, even listening to what he's done over the years.
Yeah, I love the correlation too of the different talents that are needed. Just using this because I'm a big baseball guy. That's right now my team. Oh, Dr. Hall. Dr. Hall, I need blood pressure medicine. I'm a Yankees fan. They cling in. They cling in. I don't even know how they came back and won last night. I just had muted the TV and I was like this occasionally. I'd open an eye and I'm like, I can't do.
It's hard to watch.
And then they came back and I'm like, my heart rate was back up. I'm like, okay, I'm back alive again. So, but you can't have a team that everybody's a great pitcher.
Right.
You need people that are great at first base, second base, third base. You got to be able to see the talents. And you may have people that have multi-talents and you can put them in different positions. As a leader for yourself in the community, in the college, that's important to be able to recognize that.
Right.
I think that's probably the biggest aspect as a coach that I have is being able to see a person's personal strength and then also that person's personal weakness. Because if you can't dissect each person and you try to just broad brush it, you're not going to get anywhere with them.
That's right.
You've really got to be able to get a relationship. And that's the only way that you can truly pull the best out of a person is to know that person.
Know that person and help them play their position and to see how their position fits in with the whole team. So if I'm a guard, just be the best guard you can be. You're not trying to be a center, but you need the center.
That's right.
Right. And so you have to know your position, be really great in what you do, and then know how you interact and you align with other people. I mean, that's in sports. That's at an executive table, teams, meeting that you have. It's just a life lesson.
Yeah. And so I'm building this because my viewers and listeners out there, they tune in all the time. They're like, well, we know Coach talk about some sports up in here.
I like that.
But the sports is such an analogy to life. And you being the president of a college, man, you've really got to have that coach's eye to be able to recognize, hey, look, this person's over here, and I'm just making up something. It's just working. They're over here in digital marketing, but man, do they have a great eye for communications, whatever it is. And you're like, I think maybe you should try this. And a lot of times this has happened where you come over and you mention something to a person. It's like, I see you actually have a talent for this. You introduce that individual to something and they're like, I never knew.
That's
How
right.
did you? But that's what a great coach can do, is
That's
to
right.
really be able to fine tune what a person's skill set is, and then be able to pull back and say, hey, look, this is where it's a struggle.
Yes.
And sometimes a person's struggle means that maybe it's not the thing you're loving or passionate about, because when you become passionate about something, all of a sudden you become great at it.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's just the way it is. That's life in general.
That's right.
So, all right. So I want to transition one more thing before we jump into your education path and what got you into wanting to be a teacher and all the above.
Yes.
But I have to touch on this. We talked about right before we started, and that is homecoming queen. Now, look, I dated a homecoming queen, like I said, and I just was not in her league, so it just didn't work out. But here's what I see a homecoming queen. When I think about like the popular people in school, I was well known. I don't know if I was popular, but I have a big mouth. That ain't new. That ain't new. Dr. Hall, this has been here all day.
With that mouth.
All day long, every day. So people knew me. But when you find yourself in a position that you see other people admire, whatever those qualities are, and it could be everything, how does a person check themselves and stay humble? Because I will tell you, I have found myself at times becoming really good at something, and I have to cross-check, because I got to always remind myself, self-discipline, hard work, these things get you somewhere. But without humility, you're going to find yourself right back at square one.
That's right. That's
so
right.
early in your life, I'm just saying, you were facing a big stage.
Yes.
How did that develop you?
Well, I'll tell you, it really was surprising to me that I won homecoming queen. And I was homecoming queen. I was voted most popular girl in my senior class and the second prettiest girl.
Okay.
So just thought I'd throw that out there. But let me just say about that. It was surprising because I am an introvert.
Okay.
I'm an introvert. As I said, I was the only child for a long time, and that was fine. I learned to have my own fun and make my own, just make my own, fun. So I'm an introvert. My friend circles have always been very, very small, intentionally, because, a lot of people, sometimes it can cause more problems.
Oh, I agree.
So when I won, it was surprising. It's just a long story and how I was nominated and all of that. But when I won, what I attributed to, and even some students, classmates back then said, was because I am nice to everyone.
Okay.
I don't have a big clique that I only associate with this group or that group. Everybody. I'm nice to everyone. I treat everyone the same. And so I think that played a role in the winning of those accolades back in high school, because of you can't really find anyone, even now, just celebrated our 40th class reunion. I don't know that there would be anyone that would come back and say my name at that time was Tracy Harris, would say negative things, that she was in this kind of clique or she treated people this way. And I think that has followed me throughout my entire life, that being popular or whatever, I'm not impressed with popularity, but I think being a person that you treat everyone with respect.
Yes.
It's surprising how people gravitate to that type of personality, that you're not trying to act as though you're all that. You're not trying to be anyone other than your authentic self. And people tend to respect that. I think that was the case in high school, because it couldn't be that I was the most popular because I was everywhere with everyone. I was not. I had a curfew and my mama didn't play.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't hang. I couldn't do any of those things. I was as sheltered as you could. I mean, we could go out and be home before the street lights, but she needs to know where I am in the meantime. So it couldn't have been that I had this huge group of friends. It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been that I was everywhere. It couldn't have been that I was the greatest basketball player, because we won one game. So it couldn't have been any.
Every year.
We were consistently winning that one games.
4 and something.
Yeah, exactly. So it couldn't have been any of those things. But I believe that it is because everyone. And so if you look at my Facebook page with my classmates, it's everybody, all different races and ethnicities are friends, because you're people.
You're people, 100%.
You're
that
people.
is community.
It's
that is
community.
At the point of
You're
it.
people. And so I think if you have you respect everyone, you treat everyone kind, I think that resonates with people.
Sure.
And that's where that whole homecoming or whatever. And then I think even now, it's just, I don't have a clique. If you see me, typically you see my husband and my youngest child. I don't have a big circle of people that I hang with. I have people from friendships that have come through from, they're still friends from high school and from college, but I don't have to have all of that. And I think that humility may be something that it resonates with people. It's like, I don't think I'm all that.
Yeah.
And I'd certainly, even if I did, I have 3 whole kids that will let me know you ain't all that.
They check you all the time. Say, I get that check. I got a 16-year-old daughter, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, they're not impressed with me at all. And they'll keep you grounded real good.
No filter. All those things are happening. Yeah. So it's funny. You that description is kind of in line with the quote that I have. And that is, oh man, I want to mess it up. Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou.
Yes.
And she says, people will often not remember what you say. They will often not remember what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And that is so true to life.
No, it's true.
You know, you can have human moments. You can have off moments. But as long as you treat people with respect and love, that stays with them. And that comes back to you.
That's right.
And the best way to do that is to not let yourself feel like you're too important. And I think that's the key. I've always said, I'm not about titles. I don't care about positions. I care about impact. And the only way I'm going to be impactful is that if that person that's sitting across from me at any given point in time knows that I genuinely care, and that's authentic. It's not fabricated.
Absolutely. And, you know, these kids today now, they don't care about Dr. Tracy Hall. It's like, what is that? But they care if you are reaching out and they know you sincerely want them to be the best and do the best in their lives. But they don't care about your titles. And I think that's a part, I think, that hurts some leaders, is that they get caught up in themselves. They believe their own press, their own headlines, and then they get their feet off the ground, and then they have a hard fall. But it's not about the titles. I mean, those come and go. It's not about the accolades. It's not about the crowd. You know, you have an entourage. Well, good for you. But what impact are you making, and how are you making a difference? And are you being authentic? I mean, I can really spot fake people a mile away, and I don't have anything to do with them, because it's like, oh, that's just aggravating. It's
aggravating, and it's a poison. You know, at the end of the day, it's going to make you feel a certain way. And who needs that? I always treat everybody the same, but then I also will say that if a person shows their true colors and their true colors is not lining with what I feel like is my values, I don't have to be around them.
Absolutely.
You know, I can treat them with respect, but I ain't got to try to seek them out. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And that's, for my students, I think a lot of times that my authenticity to them is what resonates to the point that they allow me to give them tough love. All right. So just to let you know, in my classroom, they know if I say it, it's true. It's almost like the early years of Simon Cowell. The early years, not the now years. The now years, he's a softie. But back in the day, it's like if I say, man, that you did really good with such and such, they're like, oh, they know they did really good. If I'm like, hey, you ain't cutting it, you have to dig deeper.
Then they know.
They know it's time to step up. And I think that only comes with them trusting that you're out for their best interest at all times. Absolutely. And that's across the board. It doesn't have to be in the classroom. That's life in general. That's even this podcast. Whenever I go out and I speak to people, because I'll do public speaking a lot, when I go out and I connect with folks, somebody comes up to me after I've done a speech somewhere or whatever, they will come, a lot of times, this has happened multiple times, they'll be like, I know you're busy. You probably got to say, no, you've taken time out of your day to come up and ask me or engage with me. What's going on?
That's right.
And I've seen so many facial expressions of surprise. And it's like, no, I genuinely care.
That's right. I'm listening
about the message I'm trying to give and how you're receiving it.
That's right.
If you got questions, come to me. That's what it's all about.
That is. That's
so, great foundation. Look, here we are. We're at 30 minutes. Boom. Pretty much nailed exactly how I wanted to set up where Dr. Hall came from, who she is today, and where she's going. So let's start to filter in a little bit about education. What got you involved in wanting to be an educator? What inspired you? And where did you start?
Well, when I graduated from high school, I went to Southeast Missouri State in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And I went because I wanted to be a journalist. That was my goal. I wanted to be a journalist, a mass comm. I was thinking, maybe radio and television or print news. I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I wanted to be a journalist. And in my 17 and a half, 18-year-old brain, I thought that it would take maybe a year and I'd be in New York in the largest market. Because, of course, that's what happens, right?
I get that.
That's right.
Super
unrealistic and unrealistic expectations. But I went there my freshman year. By my second semester of my freshman year, I was married. My mother said, now you went to school to get a degree and got a husband, but it just worked out that way.
Yeah. How old were you at that time?
We got married when I was 19.
Okay. All right.
19 years old, and he was 21 years old, and he had just graduated. He was graduating, rather, and so we went to St. Louis, finished up my bachelor's, and then he enlisted in the Air Force.
Okay.
And we got stationed at McConnell Air Force Base. And so that is a long way. It's Wichita, Kansas, long way away from New York City, where I thought I was going to be in the largest market.
Yes, indeed.
And so I said, what am I going to do? Well, I met a professor, Dr. John Gaston, and he said, are you interested in teaching? Well, absolutely not. I'm not interested in teaching. I'm supposed to be on the news, all of this. He said, well, it will help pay for your master's degree and you'll get a stipend. Teaching. That might be something good I can look into.
And you never thought about it up to this point.
I never thought about that into that point.
And that large family you have, nobody was a teacher?
No one's a teacher. My mother wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
She dropped out of college when she became pregnant with me. And so she went and worked for the post office. And I didn't have educators. We have people military. We have a lot of post office, government workers and hospital workers, but not teachers.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't thought about being a teacher, didn't want to be a teacher. I wanted to be mass comm. That's what I wanted to be. And so when Dr. Gaston helped me to get a graduate teaching assistantship at Wichita State University, I worked on my master's degree and I taught. So here I am, 21 years old in the classroom.
Wow.
But it was a fantastic experience. And so I had all those professors really helping to mold us as new teachers. And at that point, initially I was going to stay on the university level. After I graduated, I became an adjunct in the minority studies department. It was a great opportunity, but then I wanted to go back to St. Louis. And St. Louis Community College had an opening for a speech teacher, interpersonal communication, and I applied and got the job. So that's my first job, 26 years old.
So teaching communications, which is kind of similar to being in communication. Obviously, same
exactly.
thing. Yes.
And so, I thought about it and I'm like, I don't know that I want to pursue this mass comm as a actual practitioner of it, but I did enjoy the experience with the students.
Okay.
And I enjoyed that. I enjoy the academy. I love researching. I love all of that. And so that seemed to be great for me. And so at the time I thought, okay, I work at the community college maybe for a little bit, but my goal is to maybe make my way back into the university. And I loved it. The community college is just the students. It's a different type of student that really needs you to be present.
Yes.
And so the difference at the university, you're teaching a few classes, but mainly you're publishing. That's what your focus is on, research, because that's what they do. At the community college is teaching and learning. It's all about, are we using the research? Are we using what's coming out of maybe the 4-year institution and we are applying it to helping real students, real lives? And I just fell in love with the community college mission and decided that that's what I wanted to do. And so we kind of moved different places. My husband coached got a job in Georgia coaching, and I worked in Georgia. And then we came back and worked in Kansas City.
Oh, so you guys are bouncing around. So was this from the military as well?
It wasn't the military. He'd gotten out of the military by now, but he was coaching and got at University of West Georgia. And then we went to Kansas City because I got a job at Metropolitan Community College, Penn Valley campus. I worked there for 11 years. I started there, continued my faculty role, and then I moved into administration.
Okay.
And I didn't want to be I didn't set out. My path has been guided by God for sure, because he knows I'm an introvert. And I would never think of a career that would have me be public as I am
Isn't
now.
It interesting? I know several introverted people that have a very public place, whatever it is they're doing.
Yes,
it's funny.
Right. And that's why I'm saying it is not, this is not what I would have chosen. I think even with the mass comm, and I was going into mass comm, I decided I didn't want radio and TV because it was too public. I like the journalism, the writing, because I need to be behind the scenes. I enjoy that more. And so to be in this role, it's amazing for me. But yeah, and so moving to where was I? Wichita, and then we became an administrator. And the reason I wanted to be an administrator after a while was the impact that you can have even more. So as a faculty member, there was a scope of my responsibility with students, but those decisions were made by administrators in a lot of ways. And so I wanted to have even more of an impact on students and help to make the decision, help faculty to have even a better experience in the classroom, and some of the resources that you need, some decisions that are made at the administrative level, you can have even more of an impact to help faculty in the classroom and help students. And so that has been what has driven me in my roles.
I had a guy, he is House of Representatives, Rodney Hall, amazing young young man, and he's still in the Army, National Guard. He got into the roles he was in because he wanted to have an impact, but he didn't have the game plan of getting into like a leadership role like that. And then he said, God just kept opening doors, and he's like, he didn't think he was ready. But now he realizes the position he's in, he's having an impact on major parts of community. And part of that, of course, is being able to develop things that the city can bring more income to, more jobs. And it's in South Haven, Olive Branch areas where he's at. But just a phenomenal guy. And his story was kind of the same, is that he started out on one path. And this is the beauty of this. And this is why I love this table. I love this platform because we get to open the door to some of these amazing things that happen. And I always believe this. Viewers all over the world watch this, and I'll have emails come back and be like, you know what? I never thought about this until this episode came out, and that person says, and so I love the fact that it just like little light bulbs come on. And that's kind of how that this show has kind of showed me a lot of the steps I've taken had very much intention, even though I didn't realize at the time. You talk about how you had one path in mind.
Yes.
You had this one thing, but then something diverted it.
That's right.
And instead of pushing back or feeling like, well, this ain't what I want to do, or I'm not interested in that, or feeling like a victim of something that, you know, I thought this was how it was going to go, and now it's going this way. You embrace the moment.
That's right.
And allowed things to work the way it was supposed to. And I think that just comes from faith. And it's really hard to have that sometimes if you've never truly stopped trying to be in control of everything and just trust the process that's in front of you.
That's right.
Is the one God wanted you to have.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom would always say, you know, God orders your steps. And
That's good.
He orders your steps. And so I look back over my life now, and I think I never would have chosen this path. That's why I know it's him. I never would have chosen being public. As much as I'm public, all the speeches. I taught public speaking and was nervous about speaking.
So fun. But that's the epitome of push yourself out of your comfort zone, which is growth.
Listen, to push myself out of my comfort zone, because again, I'm a severe introvert. I took acting lessons. I took singing lessons. Now, I can't sing. I can't carry a tune in a bucket.
And me either, girl.
But
me either. I ain't got that either.
I took those lessons because it forced me to come out of my comfort zone. And so those 2 acting lessons classes that I took in Kansas City, and the singing lessons, and my kids are like, Mom, what are you doing? You want to be a singer? I don't. But it's something I'm uncomfortable with, being in front of people, and just the singing in front of even just the instructor. It was nerve-wracking. But if I'm on this leadership path, then I just need to help to equip myself.
That's right. Hey, look, I hope you guys are paying attention to that. So the thing that you're most scared of, a lot of times there's so much value, at least making yourself do it for a period of time to show that you can. Push yourself out of it. Maybe you're not the best in the world at whatever that is, but you've shown yourself you can be very uncomfortable, very vulnerable.
That's right.
And then that will actually ultimately grow you. And that's the only way we grow. I always talk about this. You don't go to the gym trying to get swole and get big muscles and lift the 5-pound weights every day you go in.
Right.
You got to go up. You got to go up. You got to push yourself, challenge yourself. And then that's how you start to get bigger and better.
Right.
So then obviously becoming a leader was a part of what you did want to do, and then how you were going to develop that leadership skill. All these other facets played into it to be able to grow that. So then when the moment came for you to have the opportunity to come to Memphis, how did that come about to come down here? And what was your expectations of coming in to be the president of the college?
Well, so I went through a lot of leadership academies. I've had throughout my career a lot of mentoring, a lot of coaching myself as well. So I think that that's important to make sure that I leave that as a message, that you don't get anywhere alone. And so you have all these people in your life that have been a part of your path, whether it's a formal mentor, formal coach, or informally. And so eventually I was recruited for presidencies across the country and asked if I was interested in this job or this career, this place or that place. And I said, no, the title is not important for me. I want to go where I can make the most impact and where I'm most connected. And so I described a community much like Memphis. I like urban communities. I'm okay if people have a lot of challenges. That's okay for me, because I feel like that's the most reward. When I see students that have had some troubled backgrounds and they walk across the stage, I really feel a sense of satisfaction and joy, because it's like, this is a person who maybe thought they never would, and now they have.
That's right.
And you see them fly. I love that. And so I said, this is the type of community that I want. The recruiter said, I'll get back to you. I think I may have 2 things coming up in Tennessee in a month. So she contacted me. Crystal is her name. She contacted me and she said, Dr. Hall, I have 2 president's positions. One's in Chattanooga, one's in Memphis, Tennessee. I think you should apply for both of them. So they have the profile. So I read both of the profiles and I said, I think Memphis. She said, well, just apply for both. I don't want both. Memphis. That's it.
So you were decisive.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Because it checked all the boxes. And there's a lot of challenges in Memphis, but those are the harder kinds of positions sometimes. But that's what I tend to gravitate towards also, because it helps people that may feel like they don't have a voice. You can help them see. I don't say empower. I don't feel I have all the power, but you help them to realize the power they already have. And so that's what
it's back to that coaching aspect.
It's back to that coaching and believing in the potential of people.
Yes.
The thing is, they have to believe in their own potential.
That's the thing.
So there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, you give them all the tools, but they still got to go in there and play the game. So I tell my students that in a way of, I can give you everything you need to be able to be great, but I can't go up to bat for you.
I cannot.
You got to be able to do that.
You have to do that.
And you know what? Maybe I can inspire you some,
That's right.
but you still got to take action.
That's right. And you have to help people to see the internal controls that they have.
That's right.
So life does, play games or whatever. You have a situation in your life that you can't control. I understand that. But what can you control?
Yeah.
What can you do? And so I think you always have to reach inside of yourself to say, okay, this is what I'm having to deal with. So what am I going to do about it? And you can just give up, or you can just keep fighting and moving ahead. And so that's what I try to instill in students and in my team at Southwest and in all teams that I've led. In my family, in my children, my own children. I have grown kids, 34, 30, and 23.
Okay. You look like you're about 27, girl. How you do all this in this?
Listen,
you've been packing it in.
I've been packing it in, and you listen. I don't wake up like this.
Okay, well, me either. But unfortunately, it is not much better.
Yeah, but you want because these are kids that we have raised, and we want them to be positive contributions to this society. And so, get up and do what you need to do, and make your life better. And do as much as you can do. That's the same types of lessons that I try to instill in people that I work with and in students.
I believe that. And look, leadership is an action.
It is.
It is not a philosophy.
It's not a title.
And it's not a title. You're right. And so that's where I always say, if somebody's telling you do as I say, not as I do, they're not a leader, because it tells me they may know what to do, but they're too lazy to do it.
Exactly.
Get up and go.
Exactly.
Lead by example, because that's going to be the thing that inspires others to say, hey, look, that person, I know they've been through this or done that, but look at them still going. Look at them still going. And that's what actually motivates me a lot of times, is I've looked at other people's lives. Yeah. And sometimes it's easy to get in our own mind or head and think about how life is not being fair, if you want to do that fair. But you see what other people have continued to fight for, and that inspires me. And I always remind myself, somebody out there, and this is not egotistical at all, it's just reality. Somebody out there needs me to get up and keep going.
Absolutely.
They're wanting to see that I can.
That's right.
So they feel like they can.
That's right. And you'd be surprised who's watching you.
Yeah.
You just never know who's watching. And so how you respond is critical. It's very important. You don't know whose life you might be changing just by a word that you share or an action. And so you have to just keep moving on. I don't know if you know this already. I lost my mom 5 months ago.
I did not know. And I am sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a tough 4 years. She had a massive stroke. I brought her to Memphis, and it's been tough. And she had the stroke really was detrimental in all ways. And so she developed dementia.
Oh.
She never forgot me though, which is great. And so it's been tough. She and I were best friends, and so I'm disoriented right now. In all honesty, I'm just kind of disoriented. You live 57 years. I'm 58 now, but you live 57 years with the same person, talking to them every day, and so now life is different. So I'm trying to chart this new course, but even that, I have to draw from the inner strength. Just keep moving. You can't stop. She would want me to keep going. In fact, she passed away in my arms.
Oh.
And I knew she waited for me. And I said, Mom, every time I would leave, she was in a memory care. I said, Mom, don't go. Be here when I get back if I had to travel. And this time, this Wednesday, April the 23rd, she was struggling. And so I said, Mom, I know you're ready to go. I know you've been hanging on for me, but I'll be okay. I promise you. And just like that, she just stopped. breathing. So she loved me enough to stick around, and she was hanging in there for me. And I said, I'm going to be okay.
She needed
and so
permission.
She needed permission. And so when I have some really tough days, but I think about the promise that I made to her that I will be okay. I have to keep moving, keep going on. And I haven't figured it out yet. In all honesty, I'm still day by day, and I might leave here and it might be a rough day. At this afternoon might be rough. I just never know, because grief is like that.
It is.
It's a wave. You don't say you get over it. It sneaks up on you, and you don't say, I mean, she's my mom. How do you get over a person in 5 months?
You don't.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. You just keep moving and just know. I said, she's watching me. She's looking down. I know she knows that I'm going to be okay. My sister and I joke, though, that means mom can see everything now.
Oh, yeah. Now she's watching everything.
She's watching everything. So I'm like, I don't know if I like that.
You might get in trouble sometimes. You get up to heaven and be like, I got to talk to Tracy for a minute.
I know. That's what I said. We need some heavenly boundaries now.
Well, thank you for sharing. It's a very vulnerable moment. And the thing that I think about a lot is having been a paramedic and seeing how fragile life can be.
Yeah.
You know, you see things happen. Person wakes up and they thought they had this day planned out, and their life has been upended because of a thing happening.
That's right.
And I witness that on a daily basis. Yeah. And so I try to always keep that center point to not take days for granted.
That's right.
And always think about it this way. You're now prolonging your mom's memory, her legacy.
That's right.
You have something to represent bigger than yourself. Not that you didn't before, but now it's even more important in my opinion.
Right. Yes.
And when my dad passed, it was the same thing. It was like, you know what? I'm going to make him even more proud.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing is actually being there. I mean, that's how our earthly story ended. What a beautiful story to know that I was there for her at that time.
Yes.
But the other thing is, I think that I just keep thinking about it is when she actually stopped breathing. And I realize I see her still there in the bed, but she is not there. And I thought about the beauty of God, honestly, because it's your soul. Internally, that's who you are. Yeah. We focus a lot on the external.
That's true.
Right? I focus a lot, I need to lose some pounds. I need to do this, my hair and all that. That's not who we are. Her remains were still there, but her soul had gone, and that meant she had transcended. And I think it's forced me to focus even more on your character, how you are, your faith, your connection, how you treat people. That's the real you. That's right. And not the external things that we tend to focus on. And so that is just, I'm like, wow, she was still there, but her spirit, had transcended. That was who she was. That
is beautifully said and so true to life. And I think that it would do us all some good to reflect on that at times. I think we do get caught up. I say I'm pretty sure this is most people. We get caught up in life, day-to-day stuff, and how busy things can be.
That's right.
And we don't stop to pause and think about, hey, look, what we're doing right now matters much beyond our years. And how are we going to impact others? And how are we going to influence other people to be the best version of themselves?
That's right.
And so that's where we are with you right now. Yes. So here you are. You come to Memphis out of decision, by the way.
That's right.
And I think there's a lot of value there. See, sometimes people find themselves in places that they didn't choose, which is normal. But when you choose something, that also has a different connection to me because, see, just so you know, I choose to be at Southwest. I was blessed. Yes. I married a lady that makes a lot more money than me. And so I don't have to work. It's a beautiful thing. I retired from Memphis Fire Department.
That's awesome.
And so I have other things that I make money from. But so Southwest is purely a mission of love.
Yes.
And to me, I tell myself, I said, you need to understand the significance. I don't wake up every day thinking about, I have to be here.
That's right.
I get
to
be here.
That's right.
I shared a little bit about that whenever we had the group of people there that I came to Southwest with a 1-year plan. And we working on 9.
That's right.
And it's because I found my purpose there.
That's right.
I found the passion that I had in the field transcended over to the classroom, and I'm able to connect with these students. Yes. And to what you said, Memphis, let's just be honest. Yeah. It's a tough city.
Yes.
It's a lot of crime. It's a lot of heartache. Yeah. And it's been there for a while. I know. I was on the front lines for 20 years in Memphis.
Seeing it firsthand.
Seeing it front row seat. And it would break my heart. And then you do the things you can do in the community. We would have like little things at our fire station where kids could come in and, they show us a report card. This is like some of my favorite things. Used to work off South Parkway. And the kids in the apartments back there, they would come in and if they had a B or an A, we would give them $1.
Wow.
And so, man, they were so excited on report cards card day when they had good grades coming in there. And then the ones that made straight A's at Christmas, they got a little something special. Sometimes a bicycle, just different things. Yeah. But that is what it's all about, is being able to give people hope and believe in themselves and sometimes their positions in life. And look, this is the heartbreaking part. Yeah. I saw these kids, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Most of them, they all knew somebody that had been shot. Horrible. Their conditions that they live in, depravity. Yeah. And it would break my heart, but it's like, how much can I do? Only so much. I'm going to do what I can. Right. But it takes the whole community. So coming into teaching, which was not on my agenda, by the way, my teachers that have seen this, they're probably like,
teacher?
He got in trouble 5 times back in 1991. How is he teaching? So it's like, there was this moment that connected me to students, and I realized my coaching years, the passion I had for fire and EMS, it all was meant for that moment. And it wasn't an accident that I ended up having to retire early from Memphis. It was a purpose, and I didn't know what it was, but I trusted that God had that plan. That's right. And so now here I am, and I see this impact with these students going out into the community and being able to have a direct, immediate impact on the citizens of Memphis. That's what you're getting to do as the administrator of a college that is the center point of Memphis. Southwest is Memphis.
It is.
So let's talk a little bit about Southwest. When you came into it back in 2015, give me some of the vision and goals that you had for the college and what you wanted to see come to fruition, and then where we are today from it.
Yeah, so when I started in 2015, I had a charge really from TBR, Tennessee Board of Regents, to make sure that we improved our retention and our graduation rate. At that time, we were the lowest in the state with our graduation rate. And I'm not sure that we're not near the highest now, but we've moved about triple the number that we had when I started, but we had some broken processes. And I think one of the things that sometimes what leaders do is they come in and they want to gloss over the problems. And you're not fooling anybody. Everybody sees that there are problems. And so just because you're not at owning up to it doesn't mean that they go away. And so it was really good to really come in and initially just kind of talk externally and internally about, we have some serious issues here. And so what are we going to do about it? We don't have to remain this way. And so we joined Achieving the Dream in 2016, and that provided a framework to look at how do we change our processes for students that were broken, the processes from recruitment all the way to completion. We were all over the place when what we were doing. You know, it was the merger of the schools, Shelby State and State Tech, and they were pretty much still kind of operating as separate schools, even though they were under the one name of Southwest. So we had to get that work together. So we had some reorganization of staff. We had some looking at processes and procedures to make sure these students, we owe them a better experience. And I don't care how things are maybe externally, but here in Southwest, again, learning what you can control. There's a lot of things I can't control about externally with the city, but there's some things internally that we can fix. And we're not going to be eating at our desks when people come to register for school. That's ridiculous. Students deserve that respect. So we start getting busy, and we worked to redesign, reinvent, and reset Southwest. That was our, I think, our big slogan: the big audacious go.
That was my very first introduction to it. I was like, oh, I like it. They use audacious.
Yeah,
that's a big word too. I like it.
Have the audacity.
That's right.
To think that we can change things that have been in existence for a long time. I think if you don't, everything's always impossible until it's not.
That's right.
Right. And so we started doing that work. And so we've made some strides over the years. We were moving up, closing in on 10,000 students enrolled, which was great. Then the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
And 17 months, we are virtual. And it was just awful because, you know, how that impacted us. We lost $10.6 million in revenue and 30% of our students. So we should have had a lot of challenges after that. That's a lot of students to lose in money.
Is.
But thankfully, over the years, we have been very fiscally prudent. And making sure that we weren't bloated in our administration or bloated in any of our roles. We didn't just have staff just for the sake of having staff. So we've been able to weather that storm with I think we had maybe 5 people that we no longer had on the college payroll, only because I think those programs were ended. But we didn't have massive layoffs or anything. Now we are rebuilding and we are moving up again in our numbers and our infrastructure. We have now changed from looking at just graduating students to what happens to them after they graduate. So the pathways to prosperity. We have the audacity to think that we can eradicate poverty in Memphis. Well, if nobody says they can do it, then nobody does it. So what can we do? So we're focusing on how can we get students in and graduate them and then get them into jobs that will pay them a family sustaining wage.
Yes.
That impacts poverty. Or how can we get them to transfer to a university into a program that will then help them to get a job that pays a sustaining wage? The best way to eradicate poverty is get a career.
That's right.
And go to work. And that's what we're focusing on doing.
You know, the truth is, you're right, that you cannot address a problem till you admit there's a problem.
That's right.
That's every aspect of life, you know, whether it's addiction or anything. Yeah. If you continue to try to mask something or walk away from it, it never will get better. That's right. So the outcome cannot change than what it has always been. That's so then coming in, guns a-blazing, and you're like, hey, look, here's some real problems. Yeah. Now, I have this rule in my classroom. Yes. All of my students have the right to complain about something, but they must present a solution. Yes. Otherwise, you're just whining. You got to bring something to the table. This is the problem, and this is how I see it could be better, whatever that is. And then when you start to get people to think about what are solutions, how could we try this or how could we try that? All of a sudden, what you find is with a good brainstorm of individuals that are really truly focusing on the problems, those problems that you thought can never be fixed, suddenly start to get better. That's right. Some of them even go away. That's amazing. And so that's a big job for you coming in because city of Memphis is like a lot of the other big cities. It's got a lot of things that's moving parts, if you will. You're right. There's only so much you can control. The one thing you can control, though, is making sure that the entity of Southwest is putting the students in the best position possible to go into the workforce and be successful. And let's face it, the world has changed a lot in the last, I don't know, I'm going 15 to 20 years from, it used to be whenever I was coming out of high school, people were all in on, got to get a bachelor's degree, got to get a bachelor's degree. That's right. The truth is, in today's world, those trade jobs, you can go to school for a year and a half, 2 years, and come out making a decent amount of money. A lot of jobs are out there now. That's right. I think, with community colleges, and I've been in community colleges now, I guess about 30 years, when we're talking about sports and playing your position, we need to play our position. So I think there's a whole educational ecosystem it's all valuable. And so in terms of the community college, we offer non-credit, so workforce credit. So you don't have to try to get a degree. You can get a short-term non-credit certificate and get a good job. Yes. Or you can pursue an associate's degree or a short-term, a long-term certificate in a 2-year program or a shorter-term program, of course, and get a good job. Yes. And you can transfer to a University of Memphis or wherever you're wanting to go and get a bachelor's degree and get a good job. We just want you to do something positive with your life. And I think when we talk about, I always would joke and say community colleges feel like the Rodney Dangerfield of education. And I'm dating myself. Some of these young people are like, Rodney Dangerfield, who is that? But we get no respect. I just, and so I am always championing what we do and what our faculty do. And so when we had that team that came in and toured your area, they are so impressed. And I'm like, I told you, we do great work and we educate the majority of first responders in community colleges. We do that. And so we need the respect. And so you need to know what we do so that you can respect us. And so if your choice is to get a 2-year degree or a short-term certificate or a workforce credential, Southwest is your best choice. I say it all the time. Southwest Tennessee Community College, your best choice.
It's your best choice. We work with our 4-year partners, and so we respect what they do. We want the respect as well because what we want is for people to have a choice, but to do something positive with your life. Yes. We have Tennessee Promise. And so there's no reason for any student coming out of high school to say that finances are a barrier. It's free. There's no reason for a resident of Tennessee anyway to have and you're over 21 or 22, I don't know what the age is now, with Tennessee Reconnect. It's free. So we just want to remove barriers, remove excuses, and say, you do have some control. What are you going to do? And when you make that decision, we're here for you because we have quality programs, quality faculty, quality staff. We're working to make sure our facilities are quality. You have a great choice. We feel we are your best choice. So come see Southwest, but you need to respect what we do.
That's right. Not to say that higher education is not valuable. Of course it is. Absolutely. All the way up to a doctorate degree, you are learning different things about yourself and about how you receive information. Yes. But the important part, I think, for a lot of folks is if you see this, if you're trying to climb Mount Everest and all you can see is the top of Mount Everest from the base, it feels overwhelming. It does. You don't feel like that's possible. That's right. So what we do give at a community college level is those incremental steps that you can feel success. That's and then that will keep you encouraged and motivated. If all you're thinking about is I've got to go to school for 4 or 6 years before I can do anything. Yeah. It's hard to stay the course, but when you're like, year and a half, and I can actually have an occupation and start doing this, and I can continue to work toward it.
That's right. And that's why we call it pathways to prosperity, because you can take it in, as we call them, stackable credentials. Yeah. And the 4-year may not be for you. And I think when people, it always bothers me when I hear people say, oh, I'm not college material. Who told you that? Yeah. Who told you that? How
many times have you tried and failed then? Let me see.
Exactly. Who told you that? Community college is college. Getting a technical certificate is college.
That's right.
Getting a short-term credential, that's college. You are college material. We just keep telling ourselves negative things and then expecting positive results. That's ridiculous.
Doesn't work.
It does not work. You are college material, but it depends on which type of college environment you want. It could be it could be a community college. Yeah. It could be a technical college. We have TCATs across the state of Tennessee. You just do something positive. If you choose someplace, of course, I want you to all choose Southwest Tennessee Community College. Yes. But if you don't, please choose something. Do something with your life. There are free programs that can help you do something with your life. You do have control. That's right.
Yeah, I'm a living example of when you find the thing that you're passionate about, nothing can stop you. That's right. I was a solid, strong CD student in high school. Was it academics were not my thing? Being funny, playing sports. These were like my pools. And then all of a sudden I found fire and EMS, straight A's in college. Wow. You loved it. The switch flip was I couldn't get enough of it. And so that's what I always try to encourage my students. If you're doing something and you feel begrudged by it and it's not your love, some things you have to do to kind of get to the next part of your life, but find the thing that you love and it stops becoming so arduous. All of a sudden you can't do it enough times.
That's right. It's not a job.
It's not a job suddenly. So tell me a little bit about, because this is something that's, it was exciting. It was in the news and I followed it and it's on our clips on the TVs at the college. The college credits high schoolers could get and you can come out with a dual degree.
Yes. So we have a medical district high school, and that was a struggle to get that going. Let me just tell you that. But it was worth it because you have young people and they can be exposed to careers early. And a lot of times we say, well, 8th grade, 9th grade, that's too early to start talking about careers. Well, when you have kids that are in those grades or in those same age groups and they're doing negative in the community, they can do some positive things. Sure. So let's redirect that attention. And so with Memphis Shelby County Schools and Southwest together, we created this experience, an early college experience. And so students start in the 9th grade. They're 14 years old and they're taking college credit. We have kids that are 14 years old with short-term like credentials already because they get like the C++ or whatever computer credential that they'll get. And they're 14. They can do this work. But we graduated our first class this year of 17-year-olds, and we had about 43 students that graduated with both a high school diploma and an associate's degree. It's incredible. At the same time. It's just amazing.
You're putting those kids too, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's like that's giving them an advantage to be able to start their life so much sooner. Now you're not thinking about, well, I've got to be 24, 23 years old with all this credit or debt. I mean, all this debt behind. Now you can actually springboard. right into
Absolutely.
life.
You can. And because the generations have changed, we're in a very microwave society.
That's true.
We want things really quickly. That's not necessarily the society I grew up in. But now kids, they can just go with TikTok and all the different social media. Everything's just so quick access. So we have to think differently about how we educate. And we can't say even 2 years is long. I always say, if you're hungry today, and I tell you, just enroll in this program and all it will be is just 2 years, you're saying, but I'm hungry today. It's going to take me 2 years. It's
going to be real hard to keep their focus on that.
It's going to be real hard.
It's almost impossible.
It's impossible. So our short-term options, that's critical for some people that only need a short term, and then you can go and feed your family, and then you can come back if you choose to. And so that's where the options have to be out there for students to see that it doesn't have to take a long time. So with these high school kids, they're starting life with on a springboard because they're 17 and they have their associate's degree and they have a high school diploma. They can go and work. Many of those transfer to a university.
I have a nephew that just turned 19. We had his birthday party this past weekend.
Oh, nice.
And he finished high school. Yeah, Sam. Shout out to you, Sam. See that?
Happy birthday, Sam.
He didn't see that coming.
That was my father's name.
Are you serious?
Yeah, happy birthday, Sam.
How about that? He finished high school and already had enough credits that it only took him 6 months to finish his lineman degree. He's a lineman now, with a power company. Just incredible.
And we have an over 30-year partnership with MLG&W. Okay. Let me shout them out.
Yeah,
by the
do
way,
it. Yeah,
because we have boot camps. They are so awesome in terms of working with young people. We have a pole farm on the Macon Cove campus.
I have seen the videos of that. Yes.
And so we have a boot camp where young people come to that line workers program to learn how to be linemen, linewomen, and then having access into getting a career with MLG&W. So we're working on something bigger even with MLG&W. They have been fantastic. Our employer partners are critical. We can educate students, but we don't hire them. We hire some of our students, but the goal is for them to get a career.
Right.
And so we can't do what we do unless there are the workforce partners to make sure that we have the careers and the jobs here for students once they graduate. We can't do what we do without them. And so we appreciate them as well. So MLG&W is one of those great partners.
Big shout out to you.
Big shout out.
The thing is, if you're a high schooler, you're so young, that is the perfect time to try stuff.
Yes.
Just, do an internship somewhere. Right. My boy Derek here, my producer, he's had high schoolers come over and help him with editing and producing just to see if this was kind of a thing for them in a studio. It's so important to at least test the water on something. Right. And when you're young, you can change that course over and over.
That's right.
And when you find the thing that you love, it'll just click.
That's right.
Speaking of how we sometimes can hire our own, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but in our EMS program, a lot of our lab techs are our students that we just graduated.
Fantastic.
They're working on fire departments and they come and work part-time with us in the lab.
Wonderful.
And they just got out of class, which there's a big benefit there that I've realized from a parent's perspective.
Yes.
Like if I tell my kids something that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
They may look at me like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay. You come along, you're a stranger. You say the same words.
Same thing.
And all of a sudden they're like, man, she's a genius.
That's right. She's just profound. It's like you're looking like, what? I just told you that.
I said those same words actually with the same punctuation. It's weird. So yeah, but that's it. And that's the thing is these students just came through the program and they know the language. And so when we have these other, I may not be getting through to somebody.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, one of our new guys that just came on, I'll just say, hey, look, this is what's going on. They're struggling on this. Next time I look around, they're doing an IV perfect and stuff. I'm like, I don't know what you said, different.
But just say it again.
But just keep doing that because that's what's working. And that's where you build your talent.
Right.
And whenever you can get people that's come through your program, they understand what it is, and they want to reinvest in that in the next generation, I think that's really how you build a rock solid organization.
You have to do that.
So Dr. Hall, here's the problem I have sometimes. I can just talk all day. It turns out this is kind of one of my things here. This is what I do. Conversations are easy.
Yes.
I never have a problem with it. There are so many things to talk about. I know we're right on the edge of time, but I do want to get a couple final thoughts from you on this. So with Southwest, world's always changing. And Dr. Heindel, are you familiar with him? The president for Northwest Community College.
Yes, I do know him.
He's a super nice guy. Love that guy.
Hey, Dr. Heindel, we were on the American Association of Community Colleges board at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I know him
So
well.
then you do know him.
I do know him well.
I'm actually going to be speaking at Northwest this coming Saturday for a youth leadership program.
Really? Well,
and Dr. Heidel's setting it up. I
And
will.
He has a great location in South Haven.
It's the one in South Haven, the brand new one.
I just went over there to the campus, and it's great.
It is immaculate.
It is.
It's so nice.
I know, it's so nice.
Brand new. But
I love it.
One of our conversation pieces, he was on the show a couple months back, was how does AI affect where we're going next? So I'm just curious on your thoughts for Southwest plans or how you envision AI playing in, because let's face it, there have been pivotal moments in time. All of a sudden we went from tape cassettes to CDs, and it changed life. We went from Blockbuster to Red Boxes to Netflix.
I know.
So life changes whether or not you want it. AI going to change.
Oh, well, it's already changing
It's there.
the way we do things. And I think as educators, we would be remiss if we did not recognize the impact that AI currently has. And so as from an academic perspective, we have to learn how do we incorporate it into our classes, have to help students to use AI ethically. But they're using it whether we like it or not. And so it's best that we learn how to utilize it. We are talking about it at the executive team level as to how do we incorporate that into the college as a whole for efficiency's sake. A lot of times we think we have to do everything manually, and there are ways that you can do things that are more efficient. We're not talking about replacing humans, because you're never going to get away from that human touch. But how can you use it efficiently, use AI efficiently in our work across the college? So we just had that conversation again yesterday, and we're having that at different conferences. I'm seeing with educational conferences, they're recognizing the power of AI and how do we utilize it. We cannot become irrelevant because we choose not to change in education. AI is here to stay. We have to think about the degree programs that we offer and how it will be impacted. Will these careers be here in 10 years, 15 years? So how do we make sure that we are offering the right programs and making sure that we're not offering programs that will no longer be available because AI has cause them to become extinct.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Because we want to give an authentic educational experience for students and be honest with them that if you're in a program that we think that is going to be impacted, how do we help maybe to navigate you to another direction, or to incorporate with the faculty, how do we incorporate AI so that this program remains cutting edge?
I think that's the key, is when you recognize that there's a game changer happening, don't try to avoid it. You got to embrace it to a point, but you need to try to craft it in the way that makes sense for whatever your product is. And I'm an advocate for learning, but I am also old school. So I will be honest with you. It took a long time for me to get rid of my flip phone.
Oh my God, flip phone.
I was like, I don't want to.
BlackBerry.
I was like, I don't want to convert to this thing, man. What are we doing here? People finding me all of a sudden. But I think sometimes we can get stuck in how things have always been.
That's right.
And not really think about the future. But great leaders are visionaries, and they have to see where we are and where we're going and try to get ahead of that game.
That's right.
And I think there are going to be plenty of things that are going to be great about it. And I think there'll be plenty of things that are not so great about it, but that's life, isn't it?
But it's just like the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what we said. Okay, because I remember typing, a computer. And you remember whiteout?
Oh, yes.
What happened to whiteout?
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. Look, I remember.
Yes, and then
all the time.
That's what we used to do. But so things have changed, and so we have to change with it. But how do we use it in an ethical way, in an appropriate way? The same as with the internet. We can just. I remember having an Encyclopedia Britannica. My mom had the.
We had
the
those.
Salesperson that come by and you just buy them, and they're just on your shelf, and then they're dusty because you don't use them.
That's right.
But that's how we used to kind of find out information. So things have changed over the years, and so we figure out how do we incorporate it in a healthy way, in a positive, responsible way. How do we evolve as a society? And so that's all we can do.
You got to have a conscious approach.
You have to. Years from now, people are going to be saying AI.
You're right. That's the funny thing, right?
They're going to be on something else. They're going to be on BI.
Yeah, exactly. Some other, hang on, let me get my coaxial cable over here in my neck.
Let me push this
Whenever I remember growing up, Knight Rider, Kit, we talked to his watch, and at that time it was so futuristic, like that's crazy, and it's real. I mean, maybe your car could come get you now. I don't know if it could, but
well, there are these autonomous cars. They're driving. I've seen them. We were in Phoenix, and I'm looking, and nobody's driving, but somebody's in the backseat. I'm like, no way in the world, but that's happening.
It is. The Wavos, the Jetsons, exactly. I think they were called Wavos. We were in San Francisco, my son and I, a year and a half ago, and that was my first moment, and it was like one of those triple take moments. Oh, wow. The car's going by me, and I'm like,
I know.
Nobody's driving. Nobody's in that thing.
No.
It's a completely personless car.
It is. But it's doing the speed limit.
It's
limit. Amazing.
You know, at Sam's now, they have the little cleaning thing that just drives around by itself. I'm like, R2-D2 is real.
That's right. It is real. I think we were in a Buc-ee's, maybe my first time going to a Buc-ee's. And I think they may have had one of those things. And my son is like, what in the world? But that's the world.
That is the world. And you know what? It's funny. If somebody plays this back 100 years from now, they're going to be like, oh, man, they were in archaic ages.
I know. Exactly. Right. You know, I always think about in 100 years, it's all new people.
It is all new people.
It's all new people. And there will be all new things. And so we just do what we can to evolve as much as we can while we're here.
That's right.
Make as positive of an impact while we're here. In 100 years, all new people.
All new people. And I'd like to think that my great-great-great-grandkids are making fun of me right now as they watch this.
They are.
100 years from now, I'd be like, man, he's so goofy.
Right.
That's our grandparents. What are we going to do about it?
That's right.
Dr. Hall, I can talk to you all day.
It's been a pleasure.
You're a pleasure. You're an amazing person. I always like to leave the last word with my guests. So anything you want to add that maybe we didn't get to, or something you want to leave, a pearl of wisdom, whatever it is, this is your final message. I'm going to let you take the wheel and just drive us where you want to go.
Well, I just would say, if I think about the impact that you can have as a leader and the responsibility that you have as a leader, it's important to not abuse that responsibility and to know the impact that you have on people's lives. When I talk about in 100 years, all new people, but the legacy that we leave right now will impact those new people in 100 years. And so we have to think about that. I think about that at Southwest, that while I am in this chair as the president, that I make sure that we do everything possible to make sure that Southwest is standing 100 years from now. So that's being financially responsible, that's being ethical in what we do, and making sure that we are serving the people of Memphis, Fayette, and Shelby County. That's the mission. We have to always remember our why. It's never about us. It's not about me. It's not Tracy Community College. It's Southwest Tennessee Community College. So I think as leaders, if we keep our eye on our why and making sure that we're doing what's in the best interest of other people and not ourselves, we will have a better college, we'll have a better society. And I always try to impart that when I'm talking to new leaders, up and coming leaders. Move yourself out of the way. It's not about you. It really isn't. It's about what your purpose is in life, and just fulfill your purpose, your God-given purpose. And I think that we will all be better if we focus on how we can make a positive impact, just like what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Dr. Hall, I gotta be honest with you, I'm the one that's always blessed when I get to come in here to this. I don't take this for granted. I have met so many amazing people, and you are definitely one of those amazing people. I'm so blessed to be able to be a part of Southwest Tennessee Community College. I look forward to where we're going next. I'm always on board with the EMS thing. That's my love. That's my passion. And I am excited about where we're going to be in 5 more years. We'll just see. Well, I just want to keep it short. 5 years, and we'll just keep that little microcosm. I'm super excited about it. So anyways, thank you for coming out today. Your time is very valuable. I know you're super busy.
Well, listen, I am busy, but this is a part of the work, talking to great people like you.
Oh, thank you.
So, and a part of the mission and the positive journey. So I'm not too busy to come and have a great conversation with someone like you.
That means a lot to me. And to my listeners and viewers out there, you mean a lot to me. Thank you for tuning in each and every week. You guys send me great messages. You keep me encouraged. I need that. Iron sharpens iron. Metal sharpens metal. Remember that. Continue to tune in. I'm going to ask you right now, go to my website, motivatewithcoachcamp.com. Subscribe to my YouTube. And until next time, Coach Camp out.
love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mine.